Good evening. I'm Bill Maley, your Brighton Town Supervisor. I'm pleased to welcome you here to Brighton Town Hall tonight for the October 28, 2015 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. We've got a nice number of you here at Town Hall, but I know there are also some folks watching at home on our cable access channel or streaming live on the internet, and we appreciate your participation in this meeting in whatever format you choose. I will say that for people that are here in the room, we have our town board agenda and all of the backup materials for tonight's meeting on the table in the back of the room, and we invite you to take a look at that. And if you're watching at home, streaming on your computer or watching cable channel 12, you can go to the Town of Brighton website, www.townofbrighton.org, and review tonight's agenda again, which will have the actual agenda, but all of our proposed resolutions and backup material for you to review online. So however you participate, we appreciate having you here. Can I ask Board Member Chris Warner to lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, in case of an emergency, you'll hear the town hall alarm system activated. If you hear that alarm system, please leave the room immediately, either through the door to my right, in which case you would turn right, go down the stairs, and out the rear entrance of Town Hall and away from the building. Or you can leave through either of the double doors at the rear of the auditorium here, go through to the front doors, down the front steps of Town Hall, and away from the building. Occasionally we experience technical difficulties during the live broadcast on Channel 12 of our meetings. If you do experience difficulty with the audio or the video on Channel 12 live tonight, please contact Time Warner at 756-5000. That's 756-5000. Now, we are going to start our meeting with our open forum. The open forum is an opportunity for anyone to address the board about a topic. It may be on our agenda, but it doesn't need to be on our agenda. We welcome your participation. I would note that if you're here to comment on one of our public hearings, and we do have two public hearings, both of which are related to the 2016 town budget, I would encourage you to wait until we hold the public hearing on those matters. But if you would like to participate in the open forum, I will recognize you. When you're recognized, please come to the forum, to the podium rather. I would appreciate it if you would give your name and address. Please direct your comments to the board and not to other members of the audience. Please be courteous. And you always are free to submit any written comments to the town clerk. I would also note that if you're at home or off-site somewhere and would like to participate in the open forum, you can do so by dialing 303-3060. Someone will take your call and relay your question or your comment up to me. So again, that's 303-3060. And if you're deaf or if you're hearing impaired and would like to call in and participate in the open forum, you can do so on our TDD line. That number is 784-5205. 784-5205. If you're deaf or hearing impaired and would like to call in to participate in the open forum portion of this meeting on our TDD line. So we'll now begin the open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to address the town board in open forum tonight? Mr. Zoglin, come on up.
Okay, I'll go first. I'm Jason Zoglin, and I live at 311 Rhinecliff Drive in Brighton. And, you know, my pet topic is the zombie properties on my street and in other neighborhoods. Somebody recently accused me of beating a dead horse, and I said I wasn't doing that. I was beating a dead house. And, but not beating them, I'm really trying to revive them, to bring them back to life. That's the goal, not to beat up on anybody or any homes. A couple general and specific things. First, the general thing. This was called to my attention. It's the New York Planning Federation Planning News. And the title of this article, one of which I will submit, is Addressing Troubled Properties, a brief overview of the town of Irondequoit's proactive strategies. I have to say, in all honesty, I could have written this. These are the exact things we've been talking about that Irondequoit is proposing, reviewing their codes to make sure that they're assertive enough, getting a registry of abandoned houses. It also talks about rental properties. That's not my particular focus, but they talk about having an inventory so they know, so the police knows, so the town knows, so the code enforcement knows which houses should we be keeping an eye on. And we don't have that. I supplied some that I found in my neighborhood area just from doing some email, but so I believe that is pretty significant that other towns, we've heard a lot from Bill Smith, that they're working on it. One of the last paragraphs says, most significantly, the town added a vacant property registry. The registry requires owners of vacant properties to provide contact information, maintain their properties to a certain standard, and provide a statement of plan for the property, etc. So anyway, I just think this is interesting and relevant. You know, we can all learn from each other. What are other towns doing? What could we be doing better? I know other towns have come to you, Chris had told me, for advice on the same subject. In a more specific thing, in terms of the budget, is I'm urging that we, and you've talked to me about this and I appreciate it, we get more help in code enforcement. I think a position is really warranted. I know the budget constraints. I don't know them like you guys do, you people, but I know that's always a constraint. But I can tell you from my little experience in this, you have to dog these issues. You really have to latch on and hang on tight, because every step of the way there's another avenue for stuck in the mud. I went through the house on my street that got me started on this mission, 280 Rhinecliff, with a realtor who deals in foreclosures and represents Hunt Real Estate. You know, talking to other, they have it priced at a situation that it's very unlikely to move. I know we might not be able to affect that, but I think if we express to all parties involved how concerned we are and try to keep it moving, and I honestly don't know if this will really do anything in the grand scheme of things, but if it's a bank-owned property, I think we have to keep the pressure on the bank through fines. A lot of people tell me, Jason, that, you know, you find the bank a couple $100, you know, some bank that owns hundreds of thousands of mortgages around our country, you're whistling in the wind. Well, maybe we are, but it'll be some revenue for the town, and just maybe a little red flag will go up on that file somewhere at some guy's desk, and he'll say, for goodness sakes, let's just cut the price on that property and get rid of it. We had a property that was empty, not foreclosed, and marginal, not horrible. 2 houses down from mine, I'm happy to report. Never made it to the foreclosure. The guy priced it to sell. It was an estate situation. People just moving in today, my goodness, they've had floor sand and new roof. They're going to town, and it's so great to see. And I think that could happen to almost each and every property, distressed property, if it was priced right. And I'm learning now that banks are insured, mortgages are insured, TARP money, I hear all this stuff. You know, so the banks don't care because they're going to get reimbursed. But however we can figure out to show them that we do care, I really, really think it's important, and I hope there's something in your budget for that. On that note, a more specific note, I did stop in on the 23rd, I think that was last Friday, and went down the hall here and asked if there'd been any progress on 280 Rhinecliff. It's well beyond the 30 days they were given to the repairs, and no repairs have been done. I wanted to see that we've taken the next step, which I understand is taking them to court, having them come for a hearing. So they left a note. The gentleman that helped me said the person I needed to speak with wasn't there. I left a note. I haven't heard anything back yet. I just wanted to know, is that public information? Do I have a right
Well,
to know
let
that?
me ask our Commissioner of Public Works, Tim Keefe, to give us all an update on that property. Tim?
Thank you.
Mr. Zoglin's right, and we have referred this down to court. We have a November 18th date.
Okay, that's good news. And I just hope we'll keep doing it. And it's a big job, what I've learned, just trying to do it as a hobby or something. I don't know if I'd call it a hobby, but it's a tough job. I hope there's room in the budget to get somebody to keep after that. By seeing what's happening in the house 2 doors down to me that was headed in the wrong direction, and now it's just done a complete 180. They weren't dealing with a bank, so that's a bigger bureaucracy. They were dealing with the individual, a family member, and he just did it right. He said, no, I'm going to price it to sell. I know you guys are concerned about it, and that was great. So I hope we can keep plugging on this. Please, please make room in the budget for more help in code enforcement. Thank you so much, and thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Zoglin. And just so you know, I certainly don't mind your coming out. And I don't consider it beating a dead horse either. This is an active and important matter. And as you said, our goal generally is not to demolish properties, but there are occasions where that is what happens. And I am pleased to be able to say that the property on Danbury North that did burn was demolished last week. So I know that that's something that we had been working on with the owner to get it done. We have our demolition law, and it's important that it be done right. One of the reasons we passed that demolition law is so that at the end of the day, demolishing a property doesn't leave a bigger eyesore than what we had before. We don't want a hole. We don't want something that becomes, an attractive nuisance to kids or, not even kids sometimes. So it's important that they show us that they're in compliance with our law, that they get letters of credit to ensure that compliance really happens. And that can take a while. Letters of credit aren't always things that people are dealing with. Normally it's a contractor matter. But I'm pleased that happened. I'm also pleased there's another house that I had some contact with on Doncaster earlier this summer. We mowed that house. The town had to mow that house 2 times this summer. The owner of that property's back in the house now, and I'm pleased to see that. So you and I are very much on the same page. These are challenging houses, each with their own stories and their own needs. One of the items in our budget tonight is to pay for and back charge onto tax bills. Mowing primarily. I'm not sure if there's work beyond mowing, but for the most part, mowing of a number of properties in the town this past year where, despite our efforts to get the property owner, whether it's a bank or an individual, to mow it, it didn't happen, so we mowed it. And we'll keep doing that, and we will do other work. We've had the conversation, and we think it's important. I have spoken with Supervisor Bello in Arundecoit about his law, and I think there are some good things there. To a certain extent, I wonder how likely we are on a sort of a formal registry to get, to get someone who doesn't live there, maybe has moved out of the area, to actually, they're not as likely to give us the information. The bank is more likely to, but what I will say is, and we appreciate your bringing properties to our attention. We bring properties to Tim's attention. I brought a property to his attention just the other day, and we've sent out a good neighbor letter to that property, advising them of some issues. So we're gonna look at some of the things that Arundecoit's done. We're gonna, as we've said, we know this is a serious problem. That is why we put money in the budget, and we're gonna keep taking it very, very seriously. So thank you for continuing to come out.
And the property on Antlers in Glen Ellen has been taken down.
Correct. Thank you for that, Louise. I meant to mention that property as well.
She's building a new home on the property.
Yeah, yeah. Good. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board during our open forum? I know we've got a couple students here from Keuka College, and it's great to have you. I think we may have some other students here, and it's great to have you here as well. You're certainly welcome to participate in the meeting. But it looks like if there's no one else that would like to participate in the open forum, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Ann, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonte?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. And can we have a motion to approve and file the town board meeting minutes for our September 24th, 2015 town board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, any discussion? Ann, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonte?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Public hearings. Tonight, we will be holding public hearings on our preliminary operating and capital improvement budget for 2016, as well as the related matter of the assessment rolls for service charges, maintenance charges, capital improvement, and sewer rent charges for special improvement districts. As I mentioned at our last meeting, if you want to participate, if you want to talk about our budget, don't worry that you're getting up at the right time. Should I be participating in hearing one or hearing two? We'll hear your comments. We'll take your comments. I would encourage you probably to make them during this first public hearing on the budget, and they will be maintained as part of the record. Dan, legal notice has been
We had notice in both the fall Recreation Department brochure that goes to every property owner, as well as the October 15th edition of the Brighton Pittsburgh Post.
Thank you very much. With that, I declare the public hearing on the proposed 2016 preliminary operating budget to be open. I will note that I will include in the record of the public hearing correspondence dated October 26, 2015, from myself, from Andrew Robinson, our budget officer, and from Suzanne Zaso, our director of finance, with some updated information and a couple of minor amendments relating to the budget. Those should be included in the record of this budget hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the town board on the 2016 budget? Anybody on the town board that has any comments or any discussion on the 2016 town budget?
We've worked very hard on it. I know the department heads as well have given us a lot of input. I'm pleased to see that there is additional money for property maintenance issues in that budget. And we'll see how far that takes us as well. But and I also note that we're looking to approve it before Election Day, which has always been a goal of this town board.
Yes.
Yeah, it's transparency. There's been a lot of talk about transparency, but getting a budget approved, on that kind of time frame, I think is an important part of that.
I think it's impressive with all the work that started over the summer is that the net result is, with all the constraints that we had, that it's actually resulting in a decrease in the tax rate, which was, but it again was due largely in part by the work by our finance department, all of our department heads in taking a good, long, hard look at things and coming up with a great budget, I think.
And we're within the tax cap, a bit below, actually.
Speaking of the tax cap, it's been a real constraint on the town budget for planning purposes and services and so on, but I think all in all, it's as good as we've been able to make it, I think. We'll be able to do well in 2016.
And one of the things I keep hearing on the on doorsteps is that, of course, this time of year is topical, that people appreciate the services, but they were a little concerned about our leaf pickup last year, which was a very difficult year because of a late frost and early heavy and protracted snowfalls. And they were very pleased to hear that we also were able to increase our overtime lines there, so we're going to have 5 Saturdays
Yeah.
In this leaf season, primarily in the late October, November timeframe. And that, I hope, will alleviate any kind of problem. But we do what we can. If we could just get those leaves to fall down on a measured schedule, it'd be better. But,
No such luck.
Well, I do, you touched, all of you touched on a number of the topics that I think are important. I do want to specifically acknowledge both Suzanne Zaso, our finance director, and Andrew Robinson, our budget director. Also, the volunteer members of our budget review task force and the volunteer members of our sustainability oversight committee. We've taken their comments seriously. We've incorporated suggestions from both of those citizen groups into this year's budget, and that's important. I do think that's one of the reasons, as Jason pointed out, the tax rate in the town of Brighton will decrease in 2016 from 2015, and I am very proud, and I think all of you should be proud to have the opportunity to vote on a budget that reduces the tax rate. We have stayed within the tax cap. This is the 5th year of the tax cap, and in each year the town of Brighton has kept the tax levy below the level required for the tax cap. And again, I think that's a recognition of hard work starting in June with all of our department heads, our volunteer groups, and certainly our finance and budget department. That is a tough bogey to hit, and in particular we've addressed that with some of our neighborhoods. You know, special districts are included in the tax cap. Our town engineer met last night with a neighborhood that we've been working with on some drainage issues in that neighborhood. When the houses there were built 50, 60 years ago, they weren't built with the same kind of storm drainage systems that they're built with today. They really relied on sort of swales to channel water, and obviously swales, all it takes is a storage shed or a new tree or a swing set or a garden. Somebody fills in some area in their backyard and you've affected the flow of water, and sometimes for the worse. When we have residents that come to us and ask us, can we please have a drainage system put into our neighborhood? Can we please have sidewalks put into our neighborhood? And we're prepared to sign a petition, and we understand that we have to pay for that. Even when residents make that kind of a request, that goes against the town's tax cap. And while I think the tax cap makes a lot of sense in terms of fiscal discipline on all of us, I do believe that that's a great example of a place where the tax cap gets in the way not just of government, but of the people. These special improvement districts that we have used for years are really the ultimate in grassroots democracy. People come to us. In our case, they come to maybe our Public Works Committee meeting or our Public Safety Committee meeting. We take staff time, work with them, develop plans, but in the final analysis, even if those neighbors say, yes, we understand the cost and we're prepared to pay them, that goes against our tax cap. And that is a challenge in providing the kind of services that, Chris, you're right, people expect. Our police department is a great example. We have the best police department, I believe, in the state of New York. And the kind of quality and the kind of heart that we have in our police department, with the kind of training, not just in the traditional technical police methods, but examples of the training we've had with the Center for Dispute Settlement and community relations and the like. I am very confident in the men and women that go out in our Brighton Police Department. But that does not come cheaply. I think it's important, and we're going to continue that service. But those are the kind of services that residents here in Brighton expect, and we're going to continue to provide. We're going to work very hard to continue to stay within the tax cap as we have this year.
Well, Bill, as you point out, and as I've mentioned many times, the local government is not politics. It's just group buying of services. We group together to form districts, whether it be for refuse or for sidewalk plowing or any of those sorts of things, or for sewer districts and so forth. And we can negotiate as a group, get a better rate for our citizens, and better service. But the fact that the town administers those districts, et cetera, means it gets added to our tax cap. And I think it's very important that we get an adjustment of that tax cap concept to account for the fact of increased services, not just increased cost, so that those two have to be adjusted so that the same services are what's being restricted in cost, not enhanced services. Because there's still more that town government can do for our community. But at the expense of having to break that cap, that's just it's frustrating.
Chris, you mentioned our LEAF program. That is from the 2015 budget, where we restored overtime that had been cut during the financial crisis. We've maintained that this year, and we will be out starting the first Saturday in November, and for the next 5 Saturdays out doing LEAF work. So we do expect that will make our work more effective. In this year's budget, we've also put money that we hope to be able to use, depending on procurement, for a vacuum powered leaf removal system, and that's something we've talked about before. But again, we're looking at the services that we can provide to the community. I take a little issue. I certainly think as a government we are more than just a group buying service. There are some important policies that we make, for example, our sustainability programming and the like, but certainly one of the things we do is group buying and, providing services in a way that no other level of government can. Leaves are a good example of that. Body cameras. As we've discussed before, we have money in the budget for storage for our body camera solutions. We have received some state funding, thanks to Senator Robach, but as the chief has said to us on a couple of occasions, we know how important body cameras are for our department, and so we have provided the funding in this year's budget. And I think one other thing that's important to note, we've talked about these enhanced new services, and those all go to our ability to serve you more effectively. I think one other thing it's important to note is that this year's budget provides for a net decrease in the amount of indebtedness that the town has. We had a discussion at the last meeting about our indebtedness not only being significantly less on an overall basis than our peer communities, but significantly less on a per person basis than our peer communities, Pittsford, Penfield, Parrington, just to name 3. That is a result of long-term fiscal prudent management. And it is important that we're continuing that prudent fiscal management in this year's budget with a net decrease in the debt level, sorry. Any further comments on the budget before we close the hearing? Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the town board on the budget for 2016? Hearing none, I declare the public hearing on the 2016 preliminary operating and capital improvement to be closed with the insertion. We do have the correspondence dated October 26. I would ask for a resolution first to make the amendments to the budget that are referenced in that correspondence dated October 26. We'll vote on that amendment first, and then once the amendment has been approved, we'll vote on resolution that you have in your package. So can I have a motion on that amendment, please?
Bill, I'll make a motion that we amend the proposed 2016 budget in order to adopt the amendments contained in the memorandum from, to the town board from Supervisor Maley and Director of Finance Suzanne Zaso and Andrew Robinson, Budget Officer, dated October 26, 2015.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that amendment? Hearing none, I will just note these are some minor changes in terms of salary schedules. There are some very modest changes in the actual assessed value. We have added, I referenced property on Doncaster Road, but there are others where we have spent money in property cleanup over the course of the year. So those amendments that are set forth in that memo. We have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Now can I have a motion on the budget as amended, which is in the form you have in your packet?
Bill, I move that we adopt the budget as has been prepared with those amendments
Second.
Per the resolution.
in accordance with the resolution prepared by the attorney for the town before us.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Discussion. We've discussed a number of issues and all the hard work that went into this. Thank you. No further discussions. Dan, please call the roll on the approval of the 2016 operating and capital improvement budget.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. The second public hearing tonight is to consider the adoption of the 2016 assessment rolls for service charges, maintenance charges, capital improvements, and sewer rent charges for special improvements districts. Dan, has the necessary legal notice been given in this matter?
Yep, the notice for this hearing as well was in the Fall Recreation Bulletin and the 1015 Brighton Pittsburgh Post.
Thank you. Then I declare this public hearing to be open. This relates primarily to the special improvement districts, although there are a couple of other charges that are levied separately from formal special improvement districts. Any discussion on any of these matters? Any discussion either from the audience or from the board? This is an integral part of approving our 2016 budget to ensure that these district charges, which I really don't think I'm straying too far in saying they are truly the ultimate grassroots democracy, since in most cases these are formed when neighborhoods have come to the town and said, we want a service, we want our sidewalks plowed, we want sewer service, we want street lighting in our neighborhood, we want drainage improvements in our neighborhood. And it's done per New York state law. We have worked with neighborhoods, worked with individuals that want to do that, and these districts are, for the most part, the result of those, and in some cases they're also the result of significant services such as the ambulance that are provided in a district mode, which is really the way they're provided to be funded under New York state law. So if there are no further comments or questions, then I declare this public hearing to be closed. And can I have a motion to approve the 2016 proposed assessment rolls?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Per the resolution prepared by the attorney to the town. Thank you, Ken. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros? Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. And one more time, thank you, everybody, for your hard work in making this happen. Thanks to our volunteers. And thank you to the people, particularly at the last meeting, who came out, took the time to get up. It can be intimidating to get up in front of the camera, up there at the microphone, and give your comments. But I appreciate those of you who did do that. It does help us. That's why we have these public hearings. That's why we have 2 instead of the state mandated 1. So all of your comments are important to us, and we thank you for them.
When do the workshops start for the 2017 budget?
Soon enough.
August of 2016.
Come soon.
Committee reports, Parks and Recreation, Community Services. Louise?
Yes, Parks and Recreation and Community Services Committee met this past Monday. And there was an update of the comprehensive plan. The person who is the acting chair of this committee, Mark Kokonovich, is on the comprehensive plan committee. The name of the comprehensive plan, or what they're calling it, is Envision Brighton Planning for a Sustainable Future. And there's a reminder that tomorrow there will be an open house here at Town Hall to review and to get feedback from residents and to provide background of the comprehensive plan to everybody and to get an update. And they were going to conduct a visual preference survey for those who attend. And you can bring your kids. There will be activities for children as well. The events are going to be held twice tomorrow, the same event, one at 4:30 and one at 7. So it'll be 4:30 to 6 and 7 to 8:30. It's going to be right here. There'll also be downstairs and upstairs. The farmers market, the winter farmers market, will begin this Sunday, November 1st, and will go through May 15th, and it will be held at Brookside in the afternoon instead of the morning. So it'll be from 1 o'clock till 4 o'clock. Matt Beeman, as park superintendent, gave his report. He's getting the fields ready for the winter months. He's rolling and aerating the fields, turning off the water. He said that the revenue that he received from rentals of the fields was up this year, which made it good. He also discussed the 8 playground systems that we have in Brighton at the different parks, and they have them ranging from 1,500 square feet to 6,000 square feet. They all need continuous updates and maintenance. The Meridian Park playground is the oldest and is going to need practically complete renovation. They think that it'll take about $7,500 to fix it up. These parks, the parks that they have, or the playgrounds that they have now, are plastic, and they all kind of pieces fit in together, so you can't just replace them with something that you can buy at Home Depot or something. So it's been a problem, but they're going to be working on it. Becky Cotter is the recreation director. She reported that there were over 500 participants last weekend in the Fall Family Festival, where the kids come in costume. And I understand Farmer Bill led them all around the town hall complex, and there were lots of games and pony rides and treats and face painting, and everyone had a great time. If you want to expand on that at all.
Well, my good friend Farmer Bill did have a wonderful, wonderful time that morning, and wow, it was a huge crowd. And again, the recreation staff and volunteers, you know, some of the volunteers are students that have been a part of recreation programs coming up through school. Now they're high school age and they help out, so we couldn't do it without them.
I couldn't be there this time for the first time, but I volunteered for the next event, which is the haunted grounds at the Buckland House, which is this Friday night from 6 to 9. And I was told that they have so many volunteers that they don't need me. So I guess I'll just relax that night. They have hay rides. There's lots of ghosts and goblins and witches around the house, and it's really scary, but it's a lot of fun.
Parking for that is in the main Buckland Park parking lot.
Right, where, yeah. Yep, not around the house, but where you go
Right.
for the fields.
Yeah.
Then the library report, the main thing that they reported on is a book sale that's beginning tomorrow, October 29th, through Monday, November 2nd. That you get a really good buy on books. I think the last day you can get a shopping bag full of books for a couple of dollars. And then they also have this book sandwiched in on Thursdays at noon, and next Thursday they will review Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee, and every month they have a different book that somebody comes in and helps to review.
I think that was last month's book. I believe Michael Miller is, I thought Michael Miller is reviewing a book this coming week. It's a book about Teddy Roosevelt and some of the history of that time period. Former family court judge
Right.
Michael Miller. I'm looking forward to hearing that.
You can get the library schedule sent to you by email now. I guess I should do that, huh? I had the piece of paper and I read it wrong. And then last, I just want to report on the recycling events that we had. The pharmaceutical take-back, which was on September 26th, we collected 3,129 pounds of medics, not all from people driving up. The police also go and take them from the box in the police lobby and also from nursing homes or assisted living homes. So our total to date for the pharmaceutical has been 22,840 pounds, or 11.5 tons of medicines. Electronics, last Saturday, the 17th, was 14,068 pounds taken in, and our total to date is 205,836 pounds, or 102 tons. And the last one, the shredding, that was also on the 17th, we collected 6,460 pounds, and the total to date is 139,866 pounds, or 69.9 tons. I am still getting phone calls. I missed it. Can I come? Can I leave them at the police station? Can I leave them at the garage? And I say, no. That's for the electronics and the shredding. And, but I give them the name of the people that came and did it for us. But if they can hold off, we're going to have it again in about 6 months. I don't know the date yet, but I do know the date for the next clean sweep, which will be May 14th, I believe it is. Well, I know that that we have to wait till the parade is over with baseball, and that's going to be on the 30th of April. So 2 weeks after that, it's going to be clean sweep. But I'll let you know for sure.
Good. Thank you, Louise. Thank you for all the work you do on those great recycling events. Remarkable tonnage.
It is.
And again, it's a reminder on the medications. That collection facility in the police station is available anytime during normal business hours, Monday through Friday, for medications, prescription or non-prescription. Really the two restrictions are they can't take sharps, in other words needles, and they can't take liquids. But at all other times, that collection booth, it sort of looks like a mailbox right in the police station, will take your dropped off materials. Thank you for your report. Chris, Finance and Administrative Services Committee.
Finance Administrative Services met last Tuesday, the 20th. As is typical, all matters discussed, save one, are on tonight's agenda. An additional item was discussed preliminarily what medical plan should be provided, offered to our employees to elect between, including high deductible plans. But that discussion continues, and we did not as yet establish a recommendation for that for the upcoming years. But the next meeting will be Tuesday, November 3rd, beginning at 3:30 p.m. in the Stage Conference Room. And again, it's a very active committee, and virtually everything that goes through town government goes through the FAST Committee. So it's a good place to come if you want to learn about your government in the Stage Conference Room behind us.
Thank you, Chris. Jason, Public Safety Committee.
Yes, the Public Safety Committee has not met since our last town board meeting. Our next regularly scheduled meeting will be on Tuesday, November 10th. We meet in the lower level community meeting room at 8 o'clock in the morning, and the public is invited to attend.
Jim, Public Works.
Public Works has not met since our last meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is next Tuesday, November 3rd at 9 a.m. And that again is a lower level community meeting room. And one of the items that did want to bring up at this point in time is tomorrow the town of Brighton's comprehensive plan update is going to be provided for the public at two separate times. One's at 4:30 to 6, and the other one is from 7 to 8:30. And the purpose of this meeting will be to provide a brief introduction into what this comprehensive plan is all about, conduct a visual preference survey for the public, and engage in meeting participants in several of the visioning exercises. The meeting will include activities for the children as well. So again, both meetings are here tomorrow. and the auditorium, and the public is certainly encouraged to come. This is a good time to get an insight into what the plan can portend for the next 10 years for this town in the way of plan, guidance for not only recreation, passive, active recreation, but open space as well as commercial and residential. So,
In infrastructure, sustainability, I think it's really important to note that, as we've said, this comprehensive plan update is being funded through a grant from the state of New York, the Cleaner, Greener Communities program. And to that end, what we are, Louise, when you mentioned it, you gave that full name, Envision Brighton for a Sustainable Future. That is, we've got some specific areas like our park system that we want to make sure we're focusing on. But the reason we got the grant, and the reason, frankly, we want to hear from everybody, is so that we can continue to make Brighton as sustainable a community as possible, reducing our individual carbon footprints, the carbon footprints that are left as this community grows and develops. Those are important. We may all think, what difference can one wonderful town of 37,000 have? I think it can have a very real and significant influence, not only here, but beyond our borders. So I do want to ask people to come out tomorrow night, afternoon, 4:30 to 6 or 7 to 8:30. Up here and downstairs, there'll be activities in both areas. So thank you both, Jim and Louise, for talking about that.
And one last thing is, this is really intended to serve as a decision-making guide for the town staff, appointed officials, and we, the elected officials, for decisions related to land use and public investments and capital improvements. So it's really well worth your time to come out and have a look-see.
And I think it's important to note, this is just the first
Yes.
public meeting.
Right.
There will be more as the plans for the plan develop. So, but what better place to start than the first one? So, okay, those are our committee reports. We have no old business, new business. Chris, reading and approval of the claims.
Bill, tonight I reviewed claims totaling $735,110.89. Amongst those that caught my eye, the biggest one is our new Elgin Pelicans street sweeper, which does a real heavy-duty service, both as not only just sweeping the streets, but in our chip sealing program as well. $197,000 effectively. So books for the library, about $14,000. Stone that Tim's department used, some $13,000. Medical premiums of some $250,000, and a plant growth soil and materials for the GIGP project out on Monroe Avenue, some $56,000. So the soil's going in. Hopefully the plants will follow quickly. And it appears that the canal dock at the reserve is done, because the retainage has just been released for some $27,866, and that's a great improvement on the canal. Working cooperatively and paid for by Mr. Costello's company, and we appreciate that very much. But with that, Bill, I find the claims to be in order, and I move that they be approved for payment.
Second.
Discussion? Please call the roll, Dan.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Malley?
Aye. Can I have a motion to approve the proposed 2016 Town Board meeting schedule?
So moved.
Second.
I would note that although we continue to plan to meet on the second and fourth Wednesday of each month, there are a couple of deviations from that. We will meet on October 13th, which is the second Thursday, rather than the second Wednesday due to Yom Kippur. We will meet not on the fourth Wednesday, because that is the day before Thanksgiving. We will meet on the fourth Tuesday, November 22nd. And as of right now, the specifics of our second December meeting are listed as to be determined, and we that meeting is one that we sometimes hold during the daytime, sometimes don't even have a need to hold it all because we have our organizational meeting coming right up around the first of the year. So when we do take a final action to set that meeting, we will amend the schedule. And I would also note that our organizational meeting, which is important when we do the annual and sometimes biennial housekeeping that our town board and our town must do, will be on January 4th, 2016. That's a Monday at noon right here. So with that, we have a motion and a second for our schedule. Further discussion? Any problems that anybody sees with those dates? If something comes up, we can change it, but that's our planned meeting schedule. Dan, then please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. And a motion to approve the proposed 2016 holiday schedule.
So moved.
Second.
What is, you have here Christmas, Monday, December 26th?
That's the day that will be taken as the Christmas holiday, because Christmas itself is on Sunday the 25th. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Next matter, the agreement with Time Warner Cable for internet service. Jim?
In the matter before us, I move that we authorize the supervisor to execute a service agreement and a service order for internet service with Time Warner Cable. Moving the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Discussion? This is a change from the past because we are now, as you know, our email service is through Google. So that's a change from the past when we both, our email and our internet service was with Time Warner Cable. The transition to Google is continuing. Suzanne, an update on where we're at on that?
I think everybody's cut over, so I know a lot of hours our IT department and Sue Wetworth and
Absolutely.
Barb Snyderman put in, but got everybody cut over, and
I think it's been pretty smooth.
yes.
Really has.
Good to go?
And then this amendment to the contract with Time Warner will be for our internet service, and it's actually going to increase the speed that we have while decreasing our monthly premium to them.
Very good. Further comments? Motion and a second. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Bill, the next item, I believe, is at the top of the page here, is to execute an agreement with Excellus to administer the town employee self-funded insured dental benefit plan for 2016. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney for the town.
Second.
Suzanne, just a brief update on our dental plan?
Yes, I think it was probably around 1993, we went from being fully insured for our dental programs to being self-funded. I think it has proved to be beneficial from a cost perspective. In fact, we've been able to hold the rates pretty much flat for the past few years. We've got a slight increase in a couple of the levels for next year, but it's been a good program.
Good. Discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. And Chris, the next matter.
Next is to authorize the supervisor to execute all documents and agreements with Excellus Blue Cross Blue Shield and MVP Health Plan INC pertaining to the 2016 Medicare medical plans for eligible town retirees for 2016. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney for the town.
Second?
Suzanne, one more time.
Just the carriers, we've got both Excelis and MVP for our Medicare plans for our retirees. They require documentation to be signed for the renewal rates by the employer each year. And this is the renewal of those rates, and those are going up though. Got several different plans out there. They're going up a different range, some of them.
They seem to play
10%
catch up.
some,
One goes up
20%.
one year, the other goes up the next year. It's,
Correct.
yeah, yeah. Any discussion on this? We have a motion and a second. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter seeks approval to transfer $7,025 from police department funds to the facilities budget to replace a broken heat pump in the public safety wing. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
The sound you hear over there is the police chief doing a happy dance. Or at least he'll be doing a happy dance once we get that work done. Tim, a little update on that?
Certainly, Supervisor. As we move into our project for the public safety wing, there's still components that fail because of their life expectancy and their age. And this is one of those, so that instead of waiting to the end of, or for the, the proper project itself, the overall project to take care of this, conversations with the chief are that it should be done sooner than later because it does affect the use of a portion of the facility. So it, it will be done as soon as possible because we've been talking with our contractors and vendors to be able to facilitate, getting this one replaced.
And I appreciate the work that you and Mark have done to make sure that this, replacement to this broken heat pump can be incorporated and will be a part of the overall project that's going to be coming very soon.
And that was something that staff brought up, that as long as we're doing this, why not? So we appreciate the chief going a little bit of the extra mile here to make sure that that happens too, but it certainly is something that will prove dividends with the overall project because it can be utilized with the new configuration.
Okay, any other comments? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Louise?
The next matter is to set a public hearing date of November 24th, 2015, to amend incentive zoning rezoning approval for the University of Rochester's South Campus Institutional Plan Development Project to delay next traffic study update until late winter, early spring 2017. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Just to clarify, I was uncomfortable with that kind of vague wording that came across from the university. I've changed it in the resolution to read first quarter of 2017.
Okay, good, good. And I think it's important to have a little discussion as to why we would be making this change. We did very recently approve the South Campus project. Tim, if you could, because I was skeptical when I heard this, but I think there is a pretty sound basis for us to consider it.
There is, and when we envisioned the conditions of the approval over the past number of years, we did set out a tentative schedule for when we needed these traffic updates based upon either time or progress on development of the campus. And as you said, I think that's the most germane point, Bill, is that we just recently approved this, so the timing is not what we originally envisioned. So it probably makes sense to, again, step back, take a look at this, and figure out what are the appropriate intervals at this time, now that we're getting started.
And I think two specific issues. One, the expected completion of all of the improvements to the I-590, 390, East and West Henrietta Road interchanges there. Delaying it until the first quarter of 2017 will give an opportunity for those to be in place, I hope, and get a more accurate assessment of traffic conditions with that work completed. And also the first building that is currently underway, the imaging building, which should be completed, I believe, by then. So